Hey guys, it's the Tweenagers channel, and I'm here with Mr. Mario, who is a teacher here at Mario's Art Academy. He's an animation teacher, and I'm just going to be asking him a few questions about what it's like to be an animation teacher and what he loves about his job. The first question I have for you is, what are the main things that you give as like examples? So maybe art that you give it as examples when you're teaching.
I think when I do start to teach, first I see where everybody's at, because I believe every student is at different levels and stuff like that. But I usually tend to show my students based on what they like. And I worked with Cartoon Network and a couple other studios and stuff, so usually kids love Cartoon Network and I love Cartoon Network, so I try to ingrain that in a lot of my work, a lot of like Marvel stuff and comics, and but I usually start off with the basics, like how do you do a bouncing ball, and it kind of goes from there, I think. Yeah.
So what do you like about being a teacher here at Mario's Art Academy, and what do you like about just teaching animation?
Well, why I like teaching at Mario's Art Academy is because first off, I was a student here, like you, and the environment is just very cool. We just talk about comics, we have a good time, we you know, we do like dumb trivia games and stuff like that. But I love the environment of it because of like the family dynamic of everything, and the opportunities it usually brings like to the students. So a lot of students end up like graduating and going to SCAD and doing some cool stuff afterwards.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably really fun. So what are some of the highlights that you have here, and some of the memories you have of teaching here and being here?
We got to go to Pinewood Studios and meet some people from Marvel. That was really cool. That was right before the pandemic hit. It was like 2019? I'm losing my track of time. But that was a really cool opportunity. We got to meet some people from Marvel and see where they shot Avengers. And crazy. But yeah, that was really cool. I would say that's definitely a highlight.
Well, I know since you're an animation teacher, you make characters move. So what are some of the characters that you've animated so far?
I've animated Rick and Morty. I've animated Chowder and Robin from Teen Titans Go. So those are like the 3 different characters I've animated at Cartoon Network. And besides that, I just animate my own stuff.
That's really cool. So how did your parents know that you had an artistic streak?
I think, well, I grew up in a very artistic family, and my dad used to work for Marvel, you know, and growing up, I was like, I'm gonna be different. I'm not even gonna draw, and so eventually I did, and I ended up loving it and stuff like that, and so it's really weird because not only do I draw, my sisters draw, and my dad draws, but I have like this weird family lineage where my great-grandfather was an artist, and so I think it's just in my blood, I think. It's in my lineage, yeah.
So how did you discover for yourself that you loved it? Like, what was that first experience where you saw, I want to draw, I want to be an artist?
Yeah, I think my dad brought back some comic books he made, and I didn't realize you could make your own stories. For some, it never like clicked with me, like, oh, I can make my own stories, like that's a thing, that's a concept. And I think that's when it clicked. I was just like, I want to do that too. And yeah, it kind of started from there. I drew, he has like hundreds of different comic books like in this little metal box, and I drew every single one. And once I did that, I loved it. Yeah.
Well, can you give us some comic books that you have read and that you really enjoy?
I love a couple of Marvel books. There's this one book called Civil War, and I currently work for Meta Studios. It's like a production company in Atlanta, and basically my boss, his name is Paul Jenkins, and he wrote Civil War, and it just happens to be one of my favorite books. And I would say that's a great book, and then eventually they made the movie out of it. And then I want to say Hush, Batman Hush. It's really good. And anybody who hasn't checked it out, watch it.
So how was your homeschooling experience, and what was something about it that you liked? Did you feel it gave you more freedom or?
Yeah, with homeschool, I definitely, I always say this, I would probably be a way different person, I think, if I didn't do homeschool. I had the privilege of, my mom teaching me and my two sisters and stuff like that. And I'm definitely a different type of learner, and I learn differently. I'm very much a visual learner, so having someone who knows that, and rather than, you go to these different teachers, some teachers, they deal with hundreds of students and stuff like that, and I've seen it because I've been in those schools, and they don't always get the attention they probably deserve. So that I always appreciated, that my mom knows that about me, and she can use that into the lessons. So that's what I liked about homeschool, I think, yeah.
Cool. For me with homeschool, I really enjoy being able to do different things, because I feel like doing homeschool, you can have more control over what you're doing, so you get to learn better. Because for me, I'm organized, so since I'm organized, I can say, okay, I want to do this at this time, and then if I want to take a break, I can go to a different project, and it helps me be more centered with my work.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
So since I know you were the only boy and you had sisters who drew, was there competition and how did it work?
Yeah. Me and my older sister Aziza, we definitely had competition, but it was mostly me just challenging her. She's such an amazing artist, and we all are in the art field, but we all do different types of art. It's like really weird. Like we do have a basis in comics. Like we all started in comics, but we all branched off into different things. But yeah, I definitely had sibling rivalry growing up, but it pushed me. It did push me, because I would be like, hey, look at this drawing, I'm better than you, and stuff like that. But it was healthy competition, because we pushed each other to become better. So I think it was good. Good stuff. But I'm more of a animator type artist. Ziza, my older sister, she's very much into realism and illustrations and stuff like that, portraits. And then my other sister, she's in fashion. So we started off with a rivalry, but we all found our passion, I think, in art.
Wow, that's really cool. So what was it like getting into SCAD?
It was a process. I originally went to Academy of Art University. It's a college in California, and I eventually found my love for SCAD at some point, and the application process was kind of hard when I first joined. I don't know how it is now for people who want to join SCAD, but when I was getting in, the application process was kind of hard. You had to have some pretty good portfolio pieces and drawings and stuff like that. And when you first are in SCAD, you don't jump into what you want to do right away. Let's say I love animation. You don't do animation right away. They make sure you have the foundations of drawing, and make sure the boring thing where people draw apples. Well, I never try to do that with my students or anything. But they make sure you draw some apples and stuff like that. So once you draw and do the foundations, then you get into your field. But people usually drop out by that time because they realize how hard art is. But it's kind of like they test people to see if that's what they really want to do. So, yeah.
So once you got into the SCAD and after you graduated, what did you do?
So at SCAD, I was creating my senior film, and that was called Crimson Tower, and it's the longest animated film there, which is, I don't know how I did that, but it's like a 2D/3D hybrid film about dreams. So I created that, and I left it, and they're showing it in their graduation program, which they didn't tell me. I found it from other people. They're showing it to different students. After SCAD, I went in the industry and started doing more animation stuff for different companies. like Cartoon Network, jumping in to do stuff for the city of Atlanta. Like they need to figure out how roads are designed and stuff, so I'll animate it. I'll be like, hey, this is how a road probably should be designed. I'm doing a lot of those projects. I work for Meta Studios, and so we do comics there.
How do you find jobs? How do you go online, or do you find people from your school to network to?
Yeah, I find jobs. Well, when you graduate through SCAD, they have a platform for the student. So when you're basically in the system, and then they promote you sometimes to different job people. So I did get some opportunities from there. Some people just know me. Me and my dad share the same name, so we get mixed up all the time. It's really funny. And yeah, I'll just, research is a thing. As an artist, you need to, as an artist, we're very much introverts. We think about stories in our head all the time, and sometimes when we say something like, what is the story that's in your head? You're like, we don't say it. Even though we like build these crazy awesome worlds in our head, but we don't always like project it how we want. So I think being an artist, when you are talking to different people and you're trying to get jobs and stuff, they look for stuff like that. They look for how you project yourself, how you present yourself, and that definitely helps. But yeah, I just look for different job opportunities. Sometimes they just come to me, they find my work somehow, my website, stuff like that. And if you do like a good job for one person, sometimes another person sees it. So it's like this weird ripple effect of stuff. So yeah.
Amazing answer. So what are some of the things that you liked, and what are some of the things that you disliked about some of the jobs that you've done, and also just things that you've done through your life so far?
That's a good question. Well, what I like in different jobs is when I get to do kind of what I want. Put my own, if you're hiring me for obviously what I've done, and you love something about my work. So if I'm able to actually do that and put my own 2 cents and stuff, then you trust me to do it, then we're cool. There are other jobs where they don't know what they want, and that can be frustrating. Where they don't know what they want until you show it to them, and initially they'll be like, oh, just do what you want, right? And then once you show it to them, they're like, oh, that's cool, now I want this, and that's when you need to be very protective as an artist, because that's when people can take advantage of you, and they'll basically be like, oh, try to get all these changes and not pay you enough. So that's the part I probably don't like at all. I just want to create. I don't want to deal with that stuff. I don't want to deal with contracts or any of that, but unfortunately, that's what you have to do. Yeah.
I really loved and enjoyed speaking with you, Mr. Mario, and I hope that my viewers, you all, enjoyed this too, and I hope you got a lot of information about being an artist and an animator out of it. Thanks for watching. Bye. Remember to like and subscribe.
Heads up, smiles on, be yourself, love who you are.